Hi, welcome to Stunt Stories. I'm Corey Eubanks. You know, the majority of my career I've been behind the wheel of a car, driving, jumping, the General Lee, flipping cars over, and I'm not complaining about that because it's great. You got a full roll cage around you. What I want to complain about are the frickin' motorcycles. They're so dangerous. I just try to stay away from the motorcycle stunts altogether. I learned my lesson years ago doing a movie of the week called Blood Ties. I was working for a stunt coordinator named Ed Ulrich, who's no longer with us. Ed, unfortunately, for unknown reasons to us, took his own life. Incredible stuntman too. I can't wrap my head around that whole situation, what happened, but obviously there were things in his life that were not working for him. Anyway, we were doing this movie of the week called Blood Ties, and I had to jump a CR250, doubling this kid who had no helmet. None of the riders were wearing helmets. And I had to jump this CR250 off of a jump ramp head on into a van, the motorcycle. Now, in the story that we were trying to act out, my character is playing chicken with this van, you know, head on. You know, when two vehicles are going at each other, well, the van's trying to kill the guy on the motorcycle, and the motorcycle guy's, I'm not going to get out of the way. And at the last second, he swerves over and hits this big jump ramp out of all of this debris that's there, and like a little, you know, pile of junk. And we disguised a little banana ramp in there. And the idea is this kid does this at the last second and takes the bike over there, steps off the bike, and the motorcycle goes like this and goes, bam, right into the windshield of the van and kills the driver. Then the van does a pipe ramp. So that's what we're trying to get, those little pieces to make all of that work. And so my job that night was to jump this CR250 and hopefully send it right into the windshield of Ed Ulrich's van. So we built this banana jump ramp, and we took a rototiller and we rototilled a huge area where I was going to jump off the motorcycle and land. And to me, this was not a crazy idea, a crazy concept, because you know, I used to rodeo, and I rode bulls, and I rode bareback horses, and I rode left-handed, so I was bucked off into my hand to get off, so my hand wouldn't get hung up in the rigging or in the bull rope. So for me to be moving forward, especially on something going up or down, up, and to buck off that way was something I had done hundreds of times before. So I was comfortable with it. And we did a rehearsal, and I brought the little CR250 to maybe 20 miles an hour. And as soon as the front wheels started to go up the ramp, I just basically stepped off and landed backwards in this nice, fluffy, soft dirt, and just kind of did a backward somersault and got dirt down my back and in my mouth, but it was comfortable. So anyway, now we're gonna do this in pieces, right? And we're gonna get the van coming at me, and he was gonna stop, and I was gonna hit the jump ramp and send the bike his direction. But now we're losing our night, and the sky's starting to hint a little bit of blue. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna be able to do this in little pieces. We gotta do this all in one shot, one master shot. And they asked me, Corey, do you think I said, hey, you know what, let's go for it. Let's go for it. I'm comfortable with hitting this ramp. So we do a rehearsal, and on the rehearsal, Ed Ulrich's coming straight at me, and we're lined up for lens. We're, you know, coming right at each other, and I then swerved to go line up with my jump ramp, and Ed moved over. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're supposed to hold your line. The bike is going to hit the banana ramp and go into your windshield. It's going to move over. You don't need to move over. So I get out and, I get off my bike and I go over to Ed as he gets out of the van, and I'm like, Ed, I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? Every time I move over on these rehearsals, you keep moving over too, and you just need to hold your line, because I move over, the bike's going to hit the ramp and come back to you. And he's like, oh yeah, I know. I'm like, well then, why are you doing that? He goes, oh, don't worry, on the day, I won't do that. On the day, I'm like, this is the day. You know, when you rehearse, you do what you're supposed to do for the shot, and you're rehearsing the wrong things. So you're not going to make that move, right? And he's like, no, don't worry. So I get back to one. Now the first AD is like, come on guys, we gotta go. You know, we don't have much night left. We get back to number one, and I'll never forget. I'm sitting there. I just had this feeling, this gut feeling. And I looked back at Matt McComb, another stuntman, incredible stuntman, great motorcycle stuntman, and fights and everything. Matt's one of those guys that's just all around talented, could do everything. It's a hard guy to like because he's so freaking talented and handsome and smart and all that stuff. Anyway, I look back at Matt, the handsome, smart, talented guy, and I go, he's going to hit me, isn't he? And Matt looks at me and goes, oh yeah, he's going to hit you. That's not what you want to hear before you're going to do a stunt. So they call action, I take off. I'm traveling, you know, maybe 20 miles an hour. Ed's coming at me at about 25 or 30. And we're stacked up for camera, everything's cool. I'm like, this is good. If he just holds his line, everything's going to be great. And I could see my little tracks where I had done all of the rehearsals before. And we had a little light that was kind of just illuminating my jump ramp so I could see it. But now it was kind of easy to see because the sky was turning blue. And I go, okay, this is it. And I go to move over to hit the jump ramp. And sure enough, Ed moved right over. And I thought, oh my gosh, now we're going head on. And I went to step off the bike and bam, he hit me. I go cartwheeling through the air, just cartwheeled through the air, and I landed on my shoulder and ripped my shoulder out of my socket and tore my bicep apart and separated my rotary cuff and just, I thought I had broke my leg. I mean, it was excruciatingly painful. Could not believe that he had hit me. And I'm like, you know what? This just sucks. And I couldn't really, you know, get mad at him. I don't know why he did what he did. He was my boss. He hired me to do the stunt. I'd feel like yelling at my boss in front of the crew. What the hell were you thinking? But it was, what was also weird is I went to the hospital and they x-rayed my shoulder and like, yeah, you're gonna have to have surgery on it and reattach the bicep. And I remember I got into my truck to drive home. Now I lived way up north of Santa Barbara, and this was down in Los Angeles where we were filming. And I got it in my truck and I took my cell phone to call my wife and Tammy. And when she picked up the phone, she said, how bad are you hurt? And I thought, oh, come on. Did production call my house and tell my wife at 5 in the morning, it was 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, that I got hurt? They shouldn't do that. And I asked her, I go, how did you know? Did production call you? She said, no. Tyler told me. My daughter, Tyler, she was probably 3 or 4 years old at the time. She woke up in the middle of the night and came into our bedroom and woke up Tammy and said, Daddy's been hurt. Now that was weird, how she could pick up that I'm 150 miles south, and she knew somehow that her daddy had been hurt. And I thought that was like, wow, pretty incredible. But anyway, after that day, I kind of made the mental note, the decision to not do motorcycle stunts anymore. I'm going to leave that to the guys who really are really good on a motorcycle, because that's just not my forte. And I mean, I enjoy riding motorcycles, and I still ride motorcycles to this day, but I don't do any more motorcycle stunts. It's just, I think I'm just too old too. And you know what? Somebody needs to tell that to Steve Holladay. He's not a young buck anymore, but he's still racing motorcycles, and he's had an incredible, awesome career as an off-road racer and racing trucks and motorcycles. And I got to sit down with Steve Holladay, who is a very special friend of mine and also my in-law. And we met at Fast House and kind of reminisced about some of the incredible things that he's done in his career. Here, check this out.
Thank you. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you for agreeing to do this show. I know that this was a long...
Only because it's you.
Well, I know it was a long haul down here.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a drive, but you know, we're used to that. Yeah.
You know what? If you can imagine this, I'm laying in bed last night. Well, this morning because I worked all night. This morning trying to sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm going over our career together. I'm like, wow, you and I go back quite a ways.
Kind of parallel careers. I mean, 78 for me to start.
Yeah, that was a little bit. I think I was still in high school.
Okay. So.
But yeah, I
longer.
started in like 81. But my gosh, you started, if I'm not mistaken, was your first movie Smokey and the Bandit?
No, that was a second movie. The first one was The Serial with Martin Mull and Tuesday Weld.
Is that on your IMDb page?
You know, I don't really know.
They got to keep those things
They
up.
don't do a good job.
Because I didn't see that on there. I saw Smokey and the Bandit. I'm like, really? You did
Well,
Smokey?
the first job was I was racing in the desert, and really all I cared about was winning motorcycle races, you know.
And you've won quite a few.
Well, I won the Baja 1000 in '68 and the 500 in '74, and
you won the Baja 1000.
Correct, yeah.
On
My
a motorcycle.
Class, yeah.
Oh my God.
250 class, yeah.
For people not to know what that actually
Well, back then there
means.
was no highway down the Baja Peninsula, and I rode a 68 250 8-speed Husqvarna.
8-speed motorcycle.
Right, it's basically over/under overdrive kind of a deal. But,
And what's your average speed, do you think, when you're...
you know, I don't know what the average speed was back then. You know, I think we did it in 23 hours.
So you won that.
But back then there was no highway. You know, there was no way for the pit people to access the course. So you just sent them out a week or two early, and you just cross your fingers. You know, hope they're there. You know, and if they're not, you bump some gas from a guy at a rancho and drain your fork oil and put it in there and go.
What if you crashed and broke your collarbone?
You're screwed.
And there's vultures and stuff. You just
you're over.
lay
It's
there.
done. Not here.
Shoot, go away.
Yeah, wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the one?
So I'm racing in the desert, you know, and all I care about is racing. You know, I'm in the Checkers, and basically a race-oriented club, and Bobby Bass and Gary McClarty and Alan Gibbs and you know, all these guys are in the viewfinders.
That was
I
your
don't know
bad
what the
boy
viewfinders-
club? Those guys is who you ran around with?
Well, I knew them all, you know, because I was winning a lot at the time, and these guys were all movie guys. But I don't know what movie business is, you know, and
Oh, so you're not in it at this point?
I'm not in it.
Ah,
yeah.
gotcha.
No, I'm just focused on winning races, period. You know, and if I meet you, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to beat you. That's it, you know, and
It wouldn't be hard.
yeah. So Bass comes up to me out in the desert, and he goes, Holladay, you want to work on a movie? And I go, I don't know. I go, what do you do when you work on a movie? You know, I have no clue. You know, I'm riding motorcycles, that's it. He goes, well, we have this feature we're going to do, and we need somebody to wheelie a motorcycle across the Golden Gate Bridge. I go, I got that.
Across the Golden Gate
Right,
Bridge.
yeah, which is 3 miles long, so it's...
And they're going to pay you to do this.
Yeah, hard to believe. And so he goes, well, you need to come down to Paramount, and you need to kind of, you know, the suits got to look at you, you know. And so I go there, and there's guys in suits, you know, and Bobby's going, he's kind of starting to insult me a little bit, you know. He's going, can you really do this? Are you sure you could? I'm going, Bobby, there's XR5. I go, let me show you one. So I wheelie the length of Paramount. I do a big donut at the back, and I wheelie it down to the other end.
And he's our guy.
Yeah, and they go, okay, yeah, he's all right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how was that?
So I did about a mile and a half of the bridge, and the chopper rolled out, you know, because back then it was film.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, and I basically just wheelied around for 14 days, and
So that was your first movie?
that was my first movie, and made a bunch of money.
And you got hooked.
I got hooked. Yeah, well, you know, I mean,
You were still racing and then
I was
doing
still
stunts.
racing, and I was doing pretty well. You know, I made about 80 grand racing the last year I rode. You know, which was
You're still racing today. You just had
I
a
just
race.
started again, actually.
Yeah. Every time I talk to you, like, yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to this race. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
It's just in
I'm
your
having to ramp up though, because
blood.
the curve is big. Yeah.
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 So let's go over some of the other projects you've worked on. You worked on Knight Rider.
Yeah.
What,
Well, the second movie was Smokey and the Bandit.
that
2.
was your second movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2. And that was with Hal Needham?
That was with Hal Needham, yeah. And there's 60 guys, and we go to Vegas, and it's like, I'm new, you know, I'm young, you know.
That's that motorcycle guy.
No, I mean, everybody just runs to the bar, and I'm going, whoa.
After
Can we do
rap.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At rap, right?
No.
Or was it during the day?
No, like off the airplane.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, let's get drunk and then go to work.
Yeah, and you know, Vegas, you lose track of time, you know, so the next thing you know, it's like, oh, damn, we'll just stay up, you know, and yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. You could do that kind of stuff back in the old days.
You guys did
Can't
a
get
lot
away
of
with it
stuff from the
anymore.
old days.
Yeah, that's true.
A
Yeah,
lot of stuff. Now, you worked on Top Gun.
I did.
You worked on The Untouchables, Police Academy. You've worked on The Blob, which was a classic movie.
I did The Blob. Yeah.
One of the movies that you did that everyone was talking about for the longest time because it was just like, he did what? This Steve Holladay guy's freaking crazy. He did an 80-mile-an-hour cannon roll on Days of Thunder.
120.
I go, they're trying to kill him. Was it 120?
Yeah.
Miles per hour.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only off by half.
Yeah, just 40 miles an hour.
Is it half? 40? My math ain't not too
Not
good.
half. No, not half.
Okay. Oh my gosh! But when I heard about that, I'm like, well, they were trying to kill him. Tell me about that. What happened with that movie? That was Gary McClarty, right?
That was Gary McClarty, and we were trying to do. I mean, the whole concept for the movie was that we wanted to do everything at real speeds. And we reviewed film of Bobby Allison had a bad crash. This is before before they did some aero stuff to the cars so they wouldn't come off the ground when they started going backwards. And he got up and into the fence, and Richard Petty did another gnarly wreck, at like 180, 190.
By accident.
By
You went
accident.
and did it on
They
purpose.
didn't know it was coming, yeah. And
That's
so
a big difference. You did it on purpose.
it's a big difference, in some ways it's an advantage, I think, to know, because you can pull down tighter, whatever you're going to do, you can prepare more. And so that's kind of what we did, Plus, I had a cannon in the car that was like, I think 10-inch diameter, 10 or 12 inch, I can't remember. And it was a black powder cannon, which they don't do a lot anymore. And 8 ounces of black powder and
tightly wrapped.
well, you can, if you wrap it loose, the explosion is a little slower.
Yeah.
And if you wrap it tight, it's more rapid.
Bam, more
Yeah,
violent.
so we did 8 ounces of tight wrap, and then I got led in, by I think it was Dick Zeicher, Ronnie Rondell, David Ellis.
Did they like you, these guys, at that point in your career? Or were they jealous of you?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they liked me. Yeah.
Yeah. This Steve Holliday's guy's got a lot of talent. Hey,
They were all helping
let's
me get
kill him.
started.
Bring him in at 120.
When I did the show with Bass, I met Buddy Joe, and I met David, and I met Zeicher, and I met Tommy Huff, and all the Unlimited guys.
All
Charlie
legends.
wasn't there, but
all
met him
legends.
soon after that. Yeah,
gosh.
exactly. Yeah, and so they were all helping me, and
You worked on Tango and Cash.
I did Tango and Cash, double Kurt Russell, did all the driving,
I could see the resemblance.
big
with you.
jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, big jumps on fire.
Kurt's a nice man.
He's a really nice guy.
I did a movie with him called Backdraft. Hung out with him for a while. He's got great stunt stories.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
He sure does.
Yeah.
What'd you do on Iron Man?
I didn't do much on Iron Man. There was a couple little stair falls that we were all doing, and
Yeah.
I worked a few days on it.
You and I worked together on Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift.
We did.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I remember I was having a little problem convincing Terry Leonard that we had to throw a 360 in this Viper. No, you bangs, it's convertible, it'll flip over. And you're like, no, Terry, it won't.
No,
He
that thing's
needs
not
the
going over.
speed. I'm like, yeah, Steve,
Yeah,
tell him.
yeah.
He wouldn't listen to me.
I
He
just
listened to you.
did one last night, yeah.
What did you do last night?
360 in a Suburban
On what show?
in Criminal Minds.
You just don't slow down, do
show.
you? You worked all last night.
I could use a nap.
You still, it's still in your blood, man. It's still,
Yeah,
you
it's
still
in your
wanna-
blood. And speed's your friend, you got to go for it.
You and I, we worked on a show called
Lethal Weapon. Yeah. Plug.
Plug.
I think the story that I want to talk about, though, is
Yes.
I did the Herbie Goes Bananas. I think it was my third picture with Buddy Joe. And we're in Mexico, and we're at the Tijuana Bull Ring. And I'm a motorcycle guy. I'm a racer, I'm a car racer, motorcycles, yada, yada. And he's going, yeah, you're going to drive this LTD double in Alex Rocco, and you're going to slide it around these corners. And I'm going, oh, that's awesome, man. And then you're going to bust through the barrier, the barrier into the bull ring. And I'm going, oh, yeah, okay, I got that, man. And so we blow that thing apart, and he goes, okay, now that FX is they're gonna, because it's Herbie Goes Bananas, this Disney thing, and the bull hits it and it kind of goes into the big air ram, it puts it up on the. He goes, now get in the car. And I go, well, what am I going to do in the car? And he goes, well, you need to hop out when the Matador is going to bring these bulls, and they're going to bring them out into the bull ring, and you're going to hop out and run from them. And I go, no.
How about no?
I go,
like
why
being in
would
the
I
car.
do that?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I was doing, you know, and, you know, Julie, my wife, was there. And, yeah, scary, man. I mean, I can't.
Was Julie yelling, "Stay in the car"?
She's the only one that was rooting for me.
Yeah.
You know, there was 200 Mexicans, you know, extras, locals, all Viva la Bull, you know, Viva la Toro, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and so I'm not an animal guy, you know. I mean, I don't, you know, I mean, turn the gas off, park it, you know. That's what I'm into, you know. But these bulls, you know, these Mexican fighting bulls are serious, you know. And you look in their eye, and you know instantly they want to kill you.
They want to hook you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, oh man, what have I got myself into here, you know?
Now, a lot of people probably here in this room don't know that you and I are actually related.
Yeah, it's a little incestuous.
In-laws.
In-laws, yeah, okay, it's better.
In-laws.
Yeah.
My daughter and your son got married.
That's correct. Logan and Tyler.
Logan and Tyler, and are going to make me a grandpa.
We're getting
for the
ready to
first
have a
time.
grandchild.
You already are a grandfather.
That's correct, yeah.
Doing stunts, still racing, winning races.
I'm not winning anymore, but I'm riding, yeah.
Does it make you nervous knowing that your son is out there, because you've been injured in your career?
Yeah.
Does it make you nervous that you know your son is out there doing, you know, following in your footsteps and doing the crazy things that you've done?
Well, you know, I think the stunt end of it is safer than the racing side. You know, because when you're racing, you're 110% going for it. And like you said, you don't know it's coming, you know. And
but doesn't Logan race as well?
He's racing a little bit, not a lot anymore, but you know, when you're doing stunts, you can prepare. Like on Days of Thunder, when we knew we were going to blow this car over, you know, it's like I put a box over the top, triangulated everything down, and you know, wore extra protection, had a Butler-built custom seat that wrapped my torso, wrapped my shoulders, you know, had head restraints, and then I wore a neck collar and head and neck restraints, and you know, so there was a lot going on, you know. And
remember the night I T-boned you in the car at like 30
I'm never going to
miles
forgive
an
you
hour?
for that, Corey. Yeah, he hit me really hard.
I felt it bent your seat.
It broke the seat out of it, you know, and I borrowed it from Logan. And
Norman Howell's like, "Don't you like him? He's your in-law." I go, "I love Steve. Then why'd you hit him so hard?"
I'm
like,
older than him, you know. Switch it.
And you know, and on a T-bone, I'm telling you what you already know, but for those maybe who haven't done a T-bone or been on the receiving end part of it sucks.
Yeah, and there's some ways to take it off a little bit. You know, you can go a little bit to the front, a little bit to the back, you know, help out a little bit, but no, B-pillar, baby.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
That's where they put the camera, and I'm like, seriously?
I'm going, God, this is just getting worse and worse.
Oh, gosh, I felt
Well, when
so
that all
bad.
started out, Norman, he goes, hey, I got this little T-bone, you know, and I'm going, oh, yeah, cool. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to be the T-boner, you know?
Yeah, which would make more sense.
Yeah, which would be okay, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
then we go for it, right?
Oh.
And he goes, no, you'll be, Corey's going to be hitting you. I'm going, oh shit, Corey's going to be hitting me? You know, and then he goes, yeah, he goes, you'll just like use the seat that's in there, the bench seat. And I'm going, well, how fast? He goes, oh, you know, 15, 20. And I go, all right, yeah, okay, the bench seat's okay. So then we're talking on the phone a little bit later, the next couple of days, and now it's 30, 35, maybe 40. And I'm going, oh, man, I go 40 is like getting, you know, that's getting serious, you know?
Nothing like being hit at 40 miles an hour at 3 a.m.
Sitting still.
Sitting still.
Yeah, dead in the water, baby. And yeah, so kind of last minute, about 3 days before we did it, you know, I said, Norman, I got to put a seat in that car and I need to do some protection, you know, and so it was kind of a last minute deal, but I'm really glad I did it because, you know, I had a laterally braced seat and, you know, I mean, I would have probably hurt me.
Yeah, you know? that was a hell of an impact. A lot of people in our industry, with your expertise and your wisdom and your knowledge that you've gathered through all these years, typically will then step into stunt coordinating and second unit directing. And
right.
You chose not. It's like me.
I've done a little bit of it, you know, but it's just not my thing. I like doing
politics and
I don't like the politics, you know, and you know, I'm more of a doer, you know.
And you're still out there doing it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm running 6th in District 37 points right now.
You're talking racing again.
Yes.
I'm talking about your stunt career. You worked last night and you're working on...
all the stunt career is all because of racing. I mean, that's a fact.
You've had an awesome career. You're actually, and the way I perceive you is you're a living legend.
Well, thank you.
And it was an honor to have you on Stunt Stories.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah. Pleasure to be here.
Steve Holladay!
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode of Stunt Stories. I hope you enjoyed it.